Gotcha. Okay, so I've done the push-ups. Let me record those. Push-ups label. All right. Yeah, it could have been fixed. I'm guessing it's probably always worked that way, and just either was like a visual glitch or it's entirely possible. Because with those situations where I got hit through the car, where I thought it got from the passenger window or whatever, like I was getting attacked by a lot of zombies, kind of thing. So it could just be that I didn't realize the window was already broken or what happened. Like I haven't had the situation where a single zombie has ever gotten me in a car. That said, I'm still going to keep my windows rolled up. But
I just walked up one flight of stairs. It's horrible.
I went to do my push-ups and she was heading downstairs. She's like, "Oh, what a good boy, so healthy and all that." She's like, "I'm gonna go get cookies." And I was like, "Yeah, my pants are starting to not quite fit. They're getting a bit loose. Good problems, problems of success." And she was like, "You need cookies too." Once I actually stop and eat my dinner, probably have cookies too. But different cookies than the one she has. Because we picked up some Girl Scout. Well, she picked up some Girl Scout cookies. I shouldn't take credit. She picked up some Girl Scout cookies for both of us, and I have the ones I like the most, and she has the ones she likes the most. Um, Ooh, I don't know, because she tried some new ones too, so I actually haven't checked to see if she likes the new ones more. They were like the peanut butter ones that she really liked. I like Thin Mints. Which is funny, because I'm actually not a big chocolate person. Like, I really like chocolate, but in really small amounts. Like, I'm the person who'll be like, ooh, Hershey bar, or ooh, like, ooh, Crunch bar, or whatever, and I'll take, like, the one or two blocks from the edge, and then just eat that. Uh, yeah, probably not Whistlebeak, and the only reason for that was, like, yesterday, I kind of was like, okay, City Skylines, okay, I don't know what I'm gonna do in City Skylines, what am I doing? Stream time comes up, and it's like, okay, well, I have to decide something. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll just Project Zomboid. Because I am trying to push real hard for partner, and we're real close. And Project Zomboid does tend to be the thing that performs the best in the channel. Yeah. Yeah, so I think, like, not that I'm going to go, like, full on, just nothing but Project Zomboid kind of thing, but it's just, I didn't really have time to figure it out. And it's like, I even had the poll and everything, and the kind of the bummer with the poll is we did have, it was something that was like 6 votes for City Skylines, 4 votes for Path of Exile, and then the other things had 3 votes, so I'm assuming that was for people who just were like, like maybe they had a game they didn't want me to see, but everything else they voted yes kind of thing. So, it's like, okay, but having like 10 people vote is really not enough to make any, like, it's difficult to make any type of informed decision. So, alright, well, all the zombies have shown up again. Cool. Yeah, so it was one of those things, it's like, I was like, okay, I don't have enough people who voted to really say this is solid, but it was definitely leaning. And like, I had actually booted up City Skylines on a Sunday. Like, I had actually started up City Skylines, and I was like, okay, since, I have to start a new city because our old city, we were dealing with a death wave, which is something that happens in City Skylines when you expand too fast. You get a death wave, which basically all your citizens are getting old at the same time and dying from old age at the same time. And so you kind of like cripples your economy as like, you know, a whole bunch of people start dying, and you have a whole bunch of people starting school, and then all your schools are overloaded and all that because there's a billion kids now and that kind of thing. So we were dealing with that, and usually all you do is just wait it out. Like you'll recover fine. It's just you're down for a little bit. You might even go in the negatives, but once things settle, everything's fine again. But we got hit as we were like getting ready to hit the point of recovering. We got hit with the tidal wave that basically wiped out the city. It's like, oh, it was like the first time I actually had to say, I'm like, no, actually, this city is in fact truly bankrupt. Like we cannot recover it. I had turned off like all of the services, and like, yep, like no, people aren't going to move back in. Like I would have, like even if I deleted the whole city, it would never recover. Osby says, I get it. It just sucks so much that you feel like you have to stream PZ and can't dabble in other stuff. Like, I'm definitely going to dabble, but I do think on the short term, like, I'm going to go, okay, like, let's get partner. Let's, you know, let's push in on this. I still think I'm going to keep the other game Thursdays, and I do plan on keeping Sunday and Monday to be a secondary game. It's just the issue you run to, like, let's say it's Path of Exile. I'm not sure if it's going to be, but let's say the second game is Path of Exile. To be found by the Path of Exile community is going to take a little while. So we'll have a bunch of streams that'll have lower turnover, you know, or lower viewership. Maybe, maybe not. We get found by the Path of Exile community. We'll have, you know, people who are here for Project Zomboid will be watching our stuff, which is fine. Like it can take a while. But no, and I've stated I do very much intend on having more than one game on the channel as like a primary thing on the channel, just because. Now, as far as today's stream being Project Zomboid, it's literally I was streaming so late last night that I woke up, basically got food in my mouth as fast as I could, and then got on stream. Because that's just... I mean, I was up till 7 a.m. my time streaming last night. Just because with all the chaos and the generosity and everything from the Ziggy D dropped a really nice raid on us and all that, that just... Like, I wanted... Because, again, I'm pushing for partner. We had really good viewership. I'm like, alright, I'm just going to keep riding this until either A, I'm getting sleepy or whatever, and I need to stop, or B, like, the viewership starts to drop off because people, you know, go to work, go to sleep, go to whatever. Viewership held well for a long time until I was like, no, like, you know, I'm seeing the sun come up. Like, I'm going to make mistakes. It's time to wrap up. But that, again, is also just pushing for partner, because partner doesn't, like... Even if, like, partner doesn't care about anything but my average viewership right now. And I don't like that that's the way it works, but it, you know, it is. It's not something I have any say or control over. I'm at its mercy. So you just gotta do what supports that. And you'll probably find that that is something I'm going to likely do, is if we have nights that, like, have really good viewership, I will probably keep going longer and longer with the stream to try and maintain those numbers as best we can. Because that all helps. I need an average viewership of 75 people. And usually the way my streams go is I start stream, usually 20-30 minutes into the stream, we're sitting at like 20-30, you know, sometimes 40 viewers. As the night goes on, in general, the viewership will gradually build. Somewhere around 3 or 4 a.m. my time is when we start kind of like watching the viewership start going back down. But even then, the viewership is usually much higher than when I start stream, even when it starts going down. I do not believe, like, I think the only way you lose being a partner, and I could be wrong about this, is if you do something to get yourself, like, banned. At which point you lose your account, not really partner. I do not believe there's a mechanic that de-partners you, as it were. I could be wrong about that, but I haven't read of such a thing. I think the idea is that you're proving you are capable of bringing in an audience worth Twitch's time for, you know, whatever extra measures they do in partner. I think that's the intent behind it. You know, we can argue if it's actually a good metric of that or whatever, but... yeah, starting early with low numbers does hurt your average. It's just naturally the way streaming works. You know, like if I were to change my hours to just pop in at peak, I would have lower viewership for the entire stream. Because it is that slow build-up of, you know, someone, you know, the person they were watching, their stream wraps up, so they hop over to your stream. And so you are trying to get, like, that gradual build. That was the reason why I've had a lot of people reaching out. It's like, oh, what can I do to build my stream? Like, ask me those questions. It's like, my opinion, I'm not an expert on this. Like, I'm growing my channel as well. My opinion is the long-form stream format gives you a lot more growth opportunity than the short form. The classic, people can't tune into your stream if you're not on. Having a reliable schedule is very important to your stream, because if people don't know when to tune into your stream, they can't. So you get the idea. But if I were to start tuning in, let's say I change my hours to, I don't start till 9 o'clock, let's say, PM my time. So I skip the first 4 hours of stream. Hey, Buana! Thanks so much for the raid. Give me a moment, I'll give you a shout out. I can type names correctly. Buana playing Just Chatting. Excellent game, good conversation. So how's it been going? I've seen you've been doing a lot of 3D printing. So I hope that's been going well. My 3D printer over here is collecting dust and just needs a little bit of maintenance before I kick it back in. I've had a few times where people have said, you know, you could put a webcam on that and 3D print and have people turn on your webcam for bits or points or something. Like, maybe. I know you do that. I think it's a great idea, but maintaining a 3D printer is a lot of work. And I stream too much. But hey, how's everything going? I hope everyone's been had a fantastic stream with Buana. Excellent content creator. Found him through Elite Dangerous back in the day. He's done quite a variety of games since then. But excellent content. Great creator. Definitely someone to check out. Meanwhile, so we're playing Project Zomboid. It's kind of the main game we're playing on our channel right now. We've got a reputation as Mr. Shortblade, just because I use Shortblade so much. But we are playing at 16 times population, which is the maximum population the game does support, without mods. We do have multiple helicopters turned on, so we get 2 or 3 helicopters per month, which the helicopters draw crap tons of zombies on top of you, and you just have to, deal with it. We did just have our helicopter yesterday, though, so it's going to be a little while before we see another one. And we have respawns of the zombies turned off, with our goal is to wipe out absolutely every single zombie on the map. To that end, we have wiped out Riverside, we have wiped out Ekron, we have wiped out the Country Club, and we have wiped out the Riverside Factory Warehouse area. We are at 62,170 zombie kills, and we have survived 1 year, 24 days. So yeah, we've Brain Explode, so 16 times multiplier is effectively the base pop and it's base pop of 4, peak pop of 4. I also said initial pop of 4, but it's like the peak and initial do not stack, and I set my peak day to day 1. So that's the reason it's 16 times and not 64 times. It's because just the 2 4-time stack and that's it. Yep, that's basically all it is. We used to call them 444 runs because you went to settings and you set base peak initial as 4, hence the 444. But it was leading people to being confused that it was meaning 64 times when it's actually 16 times, just with how it actually works out with the math. But yeah, so if you're into chill vibes, people talking through, being a little bit methodical, talking through how they do their gameplay, even beginner tips, that kind of stuff for games, drop us a follow. we do play games other than just Project Zomboid. At the moment, I'm playing a bit more Project Zomboid. We were playing RimWorlds on Sundays and Mondays. However, I made the decision because RimWorld viewership has been declining on Twitch for a while. That's like, all right, maybe I set this aside for a bit, find another game to take its place. But we are making our push for partner. We're really close. So, figured this weekend, since I didn't know exactly what I was going to play, I just went for more Project Zomboid. But yeah, so if you have any questions related to the game, the stream, anything, by all means ask. We're always open for questions. We are beginner friendly. I don't mind light backseating and all that with games I know, and all that good stuff. Oh, and I keep saying initial pop. I think they changed the verbiage to starting pop. Because I noticed that the other day we were, we had tuned into, I believe it was Eros' stream. We had rated Eros. And for fun, he was like, all right, well, let me try playing on your 16 pop settings and just see what that's like. And when I mentioned initial pop, he was like, hang on a second, I don't see that. Oh, it must mean starting pop. Like, oh yeah, they changed the verbiage at some point. Yeah, so we are at the point, this is Rosewood, I want to say it's the south. It's our second major city we're hitting. We're not quite to prison time, but we're getting pretty close. Because if you look, I still haven't gone that far into city. Like, if you look at the main map from the area that's lit, I've mostly been on this main drag and then that one block in the back. Yeah, so the advantage of hunting knives is while their damage, range, and like that kind of stuff, like durability, none of that's the best. The thing that makes the hunting knives so good is you'll notice I've killed like a couple hundred zombies today, I believe. And you've not seen the moderate exertion show up at any point in time. That's the magic of the hunting knife. And that's short blades in general, other than the meat cleaver. The meat cleaver is a short blade with an identity crisis. It's a short blade that wants to be an axe, but isn't an axe, and so it's kind of terrible at both things. But basically, I can fight till we're sleepy with short blades, and I will not see moderate exertion. So that's the advantage of the short blade, is it doesn't use much stamina, so you can stay in the fight as long as you need to. Because you're talking like raw damage or anything like that. Imagine, so when you get tired in a knife fight, you pull out your knife. Oh yeah, so when I get tired in a fight, I pull out my knife. Yeah, that's generally the way it'll go. Is the moment I think I'm getting close to or I see moderate exertion, I'll switch over to my hunting knives. And I do have a mod here that I've been avoiding. I'm not gonna actually bring it up. Called Minimal Display Bars, that would show a bunch of bars that would show like my fatigue and my endurance and all that. And then you could like make the informed decision of, oh, I'm getting close to being moderately exerted. It's time to switch. But there was a question between myself and Royal with Cheese that was like, you know, I wonder how much you lean on those for informing how you fight. I'm like, you know, I don't know. Let's find out. And I figured it probably wasn't too much, but probably not nothing. I think ultimately for the stamina, it's not that I never looked at it, but it wasn't super often. Because, like, honestly, I don't pay attention to it that closely, so a lot of times I'd still, you know, I would see Moodles pop up here, and the moment you see the Moodles pop up, you immediately look over and go, okay, like, what's the thing I need to be paying attention to? So I would constantly get caught with the moderate exertion just catching me off guard, even with the bars up. But the sleepiness thing is something I have found that I did lean on a lot. Oh, Nate, have you played with mods in my runs? I'm trying to learn vanilla game. Oh yeah, so I don't use mods very often, and the mods I do typically use are usually informational kind of mods. So they don't really change the gameplay so much as give me a bit more information. Like, you probably noticed that hunting knife down arrow by my character. I do have a mod called Weapon Condition Indicator that normally would have bars in here that show me how much durability my weapons have. But I've hidden everything I can away from that because, again, trying to see how much I do lean on my mods versus whatever. And I would say, like, again, not that it has no impact. I have found I haven't really changed my gameplay at all from not having weapon condition indicators showing. At least not that I've noticed. If people have noticed otherwise, by all means say, hey, actually, you know, let me know. Wispeak says, I have the same opinion about keen hearing. People lean on that hard. Oh, yeah. Like, if I was told, hey, try doing runs without keen hearing, like, look, I've done it. Like, I didn't even pick up keen hearing when I first started streaming for a long time. I didn't realize the power that is keen hearing. But, I acknowledge keen hearing is super powerful for surviving. Like, that'll be one I will 100% admit that keen hearing saves your bacon so often. Effectively being able to see behind you is just fantastic. Yep, crowbar is good. Crowbar is one of the early weapons I want to get in these runs, where I'm doing the 16x pop. Because 16x pops prevent you from moving into any place real fast, because you have to meat grinder the zombies to get there, kind of thing. And as such, you usually end up with a big shortage of weapons. So when you get your hands on a crowbar in the beginning of these runs, it's just like, alright, let's go. Because not only does the crowbar last for a long time, which means you're going to get a lot of zombie kills to get some work done, but because of how many zombies you're going to kill before it breaks. Oh yeah, I'm playing on maximum zombie saying, so where you're looking at this town, it goes, this doesn't seem that busy. That's because we've killed 62,253 zombies. So, where before, I would not try and drive a car through this town out of fear of being completely overwhelmed and unable to go. When you kill 62,000 zombies, you know, places start to get a little bit quiet. Here's a question. I'm going to do something. This may have a very negative effect on the performance of the game, but how bad does this look? Oh, that frame rate. Ooh, that is no dice. Every little every little splotch you see on the ground here represents a body of a zombie I killed. Every little teeny tiny splotch is a dead zombie that has been here. So you can see like this is like just thick with splotches. Yeah. So where I mentioned the blood splatters hurt performance. This is no joke. That is bad. That's like 13, 14 frames per second. That is rough. So yeah, if your game starts running like crap and you've been playing a long time and killing a lot of zombies, blood decals. Turn them off. But as you can see, it doesn't erase them from the save or anything. Oh, El Goso says, like, turn those on at the Riverside Country Club. Yeah, that front loop in front of the main building, that'll be chonky. Like, we've killed more zombies on this main drag than in that country club area, but that country club area, it's just that one ring, that one concentrated loop. So yeah, that'd be some chonk on our frames. I did have, and when I say the other day, it's like a week ago, I did have the other day that people are saying, oh, you know, they made a performance pass that the blood decals are no longer a problem. It's like, hadn't heard that. I will take Exhibit A that blood decals are still a very serious performance problem for longer runs. I'm guessing Buana after his raid had to hop off. It's all good, I understand. I've definitely had those times where it's like, oh no, I need to be asleep like yesterday. Raided someone's like, have a nice stream, bye. Normally I'd love to stay in chat, but now is not one of those days. I get it. It's awesome he gave us a raid, I really appreciate it. What do I call a horde of zombies? I mean, it depends. If you're going for a joke, I'll, dead meat. Gotcha. I was like, wait a second, that's probably setting up for a joke. I would say, for me, I usually call them a horde of zombies, or if it's like, you'll have those weird hordes of zombies where it's just the one with the backpack in the middle kind of horde, which is like this concentrated ball of zombies. I will actually call them a ball of zombies. Which, for those who are still newish to the game, if you find yourself driving around in the middle of absolutely nowhere on the map, and you're just like, huh, I am in the middle of absolutely nowhere. Why do I see a big ball of like 12 to 18 zombies? Just like chilling out here in the middle of the road for no reason. Look carefully. A lot of the times you'll see one zombie in the middle of that horde who will have this fancy backpack on it. And it could be all yours. You just gotta kill 12 to 18 zombies, or you get really lucky and like the one zombie with the backpack will be off the side and you can aggro it separately and just kill the one and walk away with the backpack. That's usually how I get my my large backpack, is I'll get to the point that I have a car that I can drive around and I'll just kind of drive around the middle of absolutely nowhere. It says, usually when I see a swarm of mindless flesh eaters, I call them the Bar Association. Eek. Eek. Senja Cookie says, I think I'm funny. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm gonna mess with those. I'm gonna get back towards the main road. Start clearing out more of it. Okay. And once again, when you hit cooking 7, you can actually use rotten food. It's perfectly safe to eat, you just get way less mileage out of it. And the excuse I usually give, it's just like, you're eating the kind of stuff, like there's certain cheeses in that when you get them where it's like the cheese is going bad, you can kind of like cut out the one bad spot. It's like you are a, like professional level chef who knows what can and cannot be eaten when it's bad, and like can just manage to work around whatever is not safe to have yourself safe food. And for those who are going, oh, gross, fair. But also, standards change dramatically when you're in a zombie apocalypse situation. Where did I leave my car, actually? Yeah. In real life, when you have food that expires, as in like it's not, parts of it are not safe to eat anymore, you throw it away. When you are starving, you go, maybe we can eat that. That said, if you give yourself food poisoning in a survival situation, probably not survivaling. Let's see. So we got 10 push-ups I need to do. And Hefter73TW says, the people saying gross are the same ones who have never been forced to wear their underwear inside out. Gross. Anyways, Artem Prime says, you should never just pick the mold off bread, though. You can easily give yourself a fatal dose of poison. Like, that's the thing. This is one of the things like I'm ignorant on, is there are some foods that when they go bad, that are perfectly safe to eat. And there are some foods that are just like not as tasty, or they're like stale, or like there's something unpleasant about it. And then there's some foods that go bad and it's like, no, seriously, hard stop, you do not eat that. Like, I know drinking like expired milk, like when I say expired, like where the milk has turned, like that's a no-no. Don't do that one. There's certain cooking stuff you can do with that, but just eating that, no. Alright, well, I'll be right back. Okay, so let me go ahead and we only have one more push-up redemption after that. You're all killing it with the push-up redemptions today. We're not even halfway through our stream. And we're just like really rough. Let's see. Artem says, I grew up having to catch grasshoppers for food, and I was never so poor that I had to wear my underwear and soda out. I mean, that's up to people what they want to say about like being asked where they are. That said, generally speaking, I try to not encourage people like if someone just like volunteers their age or whatever, like that's on them. But generally I'll usually ask people not to ask age, which you didn't. But like just being clear. Just basically saying like personally identifiable information, like that'll be something I won't ask. And if anyone here is ever like a minor or something, don't answer that. Like don't answer that question. Like one, if you're a minor, you're not supposed to be on here. But second, if you do say that you're a minor on here, you're like, hey, I'm 15. I have to ban you. Because it's against TOS for you to be on here. And I do, even though like I almost never swear, I think I still have the mature tag. Like, I think I still have the mature tag on my stream because we do sometimes talk about, you know, topics that are probably not like kiddo friendly or whatever. So even more so, because I have that's like, yeah, if I know you're not supposed to be here kind of thing, then I'll have to kind of do that. Yeah, I'll go so. Just give me the McLovin. I'm old enough to party. Oh, hey. There's that fire axe that we lost track of, like, 4 days ago. What I meant that has everyone blown away? Um, let's see. Ninja Cookie says, what if we're talking about minor and not minor? And the spelling is minor as in a person with a pickaxe who is digging, and not minor as in a young person. Let's see. Nah, not safe for them minor. We will start talking about Margaret Thatcher. Now I see all the gasps. I understand. Zane says, semi-underhanded hit with a two-handed blunt weapons is my favorite animation. Oh yeah, where they're like just like flip. Just watch the zombie, like that's usually a knockover hit where they'll do like that flip and the zombie will just like do a backflip kind of thing. Yeah, it's a goodie. Where did I leave my truck? It's down here, right? Like down by this house? Yeah, there's a whole bunch of zombies down there. It's gonna be right there. Or not. The backhand meat cleave? I can't think of which animation that is. The meat cleaver does have some pretty decent animations. It's a shame that that weapon is really not good. Like it is such a shame the meat cleaver is such a disappointing weapon. I kind of want them to take the meat cleaver, maybe give it a little bit more just flat damage. Like the multiplier's fine. Like make it a bit closer to the hunting knife on flat damage, but a better multiplier, and then just have the higher stamina. Like, you said it feels like it's nerfed a bit recently, maybe. Because I busted out the meat cleaver saying like I'll use this as a primary to burn stamina, just like lean in on the short blade, just kind of see what happens. And he busts out the meat cleaver. I'm like, this is objectively worse than the hunting knife. Like, sure, every once in a while I one-shot a zombie, and that feels good. But the other times I'm like 4-hitting zombies, which feels terrible. Like, literally doubling your hits is not a feel-good thing. I do not remember where we moved the truck to. Yeah, I think I would like the meat cleaver to do more damage. There we are. Like, do just more base damage. So that when it crits, it's like that much better feeling. But that it doesn't feel like that awful to use when it doesn't crit. But at the same time, keep the high stamina use. Thank you for the follow, Mad Tunes. Welcome to the stream. Because I think for me, that would put it kind of in the same department as like not quite as good as a hand axe, but like right kind of in that area. It still feels weird because, again, I've made the comment, the meat cleaver feels like it's a weapon with an identity crisis. Where 100% it wants to play like an axe, where you have all of that crit to work with, and so when you get enough skills in your axe skill that you get those crits reliably, you just start slapping zombies one after the other. But as a short blade, you don't have the advantage of short blades because it burns more stamina than all the other short blades, really. And then it also doesn't really do that good as an axe because I don't believe it has, like, it has a much lower base damage than like a hand axe or whatever. So it's just, it's kind of trying to do both and being kind of crap at both. Sender Cookie saying meat cleaver should give a slap damage because it's wide square metal sheet as a blade. Yeah. I mean, the whole, and like real life meat cleaver, the whole point is like you've got, you know, usually like a cut of meat that has the bone still in it kind of thing, and it's designed so you can potentially just like slam right through it with this big heavy knife. Or like if you have just like a really thick cut of meat that you can slam through it by just effectively having, like, it's a heavy blade for a reason. You use that heft to literally cleave through stuff. It's like why it has that name. Like, keep doing laps around here, and every time I'm doing laps, the zombies have come back in, which is the reason we keep doing it. But I want to go down, there's this residential road down here, and that's the next place. I did find it funny that we don't, like, up until recently, we didn't have a meat cleaver of any type at our house. Like, that's just not... Like, I'd not typically, you know, getting a large pork shank and then having to, like, cut it into tenderloins or something like that, and I probably... There's someone who probably actually knows about cuts of meat who's like, oh god, all of that, everything you said is wrong. And they're probably right. But either way, like, I don't get large cuts of meat that I need a meat cleaver to break down into smaller cuts of meat. And then, like, I do have, like, a meat knife in a pinch for that kind of stuff. But, one of my wife's coworkers found us, like, you don't have a meat cleaver? Like, how do you function? And actually bought us a meat cleaver, like, okay. It's not like we're vegetarians, we don't eat meat or something. It's just, that's just not the way I buy my meat. Let me catch up. So, Vincent said, wow, that's interesting, upcoming. My home life was always simple compared to hunting grasshoppers non-recreationally. Thanks for respecting my man. I missed that. Da, 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 da. Says I can't even eat cereal, Campbell's Milestone soup anymore because of the food aversions. but I know I'm capable of eating stuff like dandelions and bugs for survival situations. I missed some context. All right, sorry about that. Yep. Wispeak says, I do have a heavier kitchen knife, but still not a cleaver, though. Yeah, like, I have one knife that in a pinch probably would have worked. Like, it wouldn't be the correct knife to use, but it's not a meat cleaver. Like, we have one now, and it's in the drawer. We've never used it, but it's like, okay, I mean, sure, like, I don't know when I'll need... Alright, well, it's sleepy bye time. We'll kill whatever zombies aggroed here, then we'll sleepy bye. Yeah, so I think we're at that point in Rosewood, and I mentioned this a number of times before in the previous streams, is that the way these runs usually go, you'll end up sitting there that you just feel like you're meat grinding the zombies. They're making no noticeable progress. Like, you're seeing heaps of bodies pile around, you're seeing your kill count go way up, but as far as like actually making progress into the city, it just feels like absolutely nothing. Like, you feel like you're just fighting the same zombies again and again, day after day. And you'll do it for days and days and days. And then suddenly you'll go from like having that meat grinder just, oh, now it's like only half as many. Oh wait, now there's only like 10% the zombies are seeing. And then the zombies will just basically be gone. And I think it's just you're drawing in all the zombies from the surrounding area until they just don't have zombies to throw at you. Senator Cookie says, I use a meat cleaver for doing regular cutting of things in the kitchen when I used to have one. Yeah, like, I could definitely, like, when you have to chop something, I could absolutely see it, because, I mean, that's what it does, is it chops normally, like, really thick pieces of meat or otherwise, you know, heavier things that you wouldn't want to have to sit there and try and chop with a smaller knife. You'd just, your wrist would hate you by the time you're done. Let's see. RDM says, it's all good. I have a really weird childhood. Life with my mom was often horrific. When my grandparents adopted me, my siblings, it changed the better, night and day. Went from not having food to having regular medical checkups on my own home. Drugs are bad, kids. Oh, I see. I'm getting the part of the conversation that I missed. Yeah. Yeah. Wispeak says, I once had a 5-kilogram piece of meat processed into small half cubes that took over an hour. Bet it would have been fast to cleaver. Oh yeah, like, and that's the whole like place that those come in. Alright, turn this off, be quick about it, I don't want to deal with that zombie. Alright. You were inside the house that I've been sleeping in, and I am not a fan of it. So what we're going to do, just for our own safety, is I'm going to do a once around the house, make sure there's no little friendos hanging in the backyard. Right, nothing along the fence line. Nothing on the open here. Nothing in the back porch, but I do see we have a friend over here. Okay, I was like, we pushed it, I don't see the other one. The zombie I saw that bush. I think it's a bush. Generally speaking, when you're talking about like power tools with stuff, I mean, well, I'm sure they could make a table saw for that. You more often will see band saws used for processing that kind of stuff. Wispeak was asking basically if they use table saws for butchering. It's like they could, I'm sure, but generally I see band saws, or there's actually a thing for slicing. That's like it's its own machine that there's like a shelf. They just slide back and forth, and it cuts deli meat kind of thing. But yeah, Usually it's like a fine-tooth bandsaw. Stop showing up, zombies. Oh yeah. I've mentioned this a few times. Those moderate exertion and sleep, like drowsy and tired, like, do not underestimate how much those penalize you. Like, moderate exertion is something like a 20 or 30% damage reduction. It is not a tiny one. Mux dude's like, they just want to ask about your car's extended warranty. Yeah, they do that. Alright, so I need to be careful, because we did see a zombie exit the house you've been sleeping in. You don't say one immediately, I'm going to run through the door. The reason I did that was just in case there's a zombie chilling right... Did I see a zombie? No, okay. Just in case there's a zombie like chilling like right here, facing that way. We'd have the potential of getting ourselves really hurt. There's a bunch... You know what? We're going to eat these chips. Give me these chips. These chips are mine now. I should also grab those bottles and fill them up with water, but I'm not going to do that right now. I mean, the last zombie in the group just wanted to let me know I could save a bunch of money by switching to Geico. Granted, didn't realize I'm Team Flow. That is the, what is it? Progressive? Not spokesperson, PR person, what is that? Where you have a character. Mascot. I mean, I guess you could be a spokesperson. I don't know where the line is with the person who's in the advertisements versus the person who, like, actually talks to audiences about it.